Kia ora koutou, ko Anthony Aho. Now, so today was the Forest Run Fest Frost edition. So I ran a half marathon in what turned out to be beautiful conditions. It was something like 9 degrees when we left the start line, and it was overcast, which kept the warmth in the air, but the sun was starting to break through. It's quite light down here in Christchurch today, and there was no rain. And there'd been no rain overnight as far as I could tell. A little bit of rain yesterday, so things were still a bit soft underfoot, but they weren't really muddy. Now, usually the last few weeks, you've had the choice between very, very frosty and freezing cold, sort of in the negatives, or you have warm but rainy. And today was the best of both worlds. It was warm and not rainy, which was great. So beautiful conditions for running. Now, I was going to make a video at the race village immediately post the race, but I went into my bag, I grabbed my GoPro, which is what I film these on, and I went to turn it on, and it didn't turn on, which is a little bit frustrating. Apparently it had decided that being on all night was a great idea, and that draining the battery just before I wanted to use it was how it wanted to play. So I had to come home and charge the GoPro and then make this video. I obviously recharged myself as well. I've had some kai, I've cooked up some sausages and eggs and had a bit of porridge as well, got the calories back. So the half marathon, this was my first raced half marathon. So I've done longer than half marathon distance in training. However, I've not done it in a race setting. So I was very interested in a few things today. One of those things was what I'm calling my poop strategy. So things surrounding nutrition from yesterday and how that would affect my gut today, what calories I took in today, and then just making sure I evacuated and so I didn't run into any problems during the race. The other thing was, because I'm running in new shoes and I'm wearing 2 pairs of socks, plus I wear compression calf sleeves that go over the ankle. So I was sort of looking at a sock strategy, and also looking at in race whether I really needed to be taking on more calories than I thought, less calories than I thought, what sort of, if I was going to get any gastro problems if I took in some calories, or if I was going to really run out of steam, and same with water. So I chose to run the race without a backpack of any kind. I did take my reusable cup, but when you're running, when your aim is to keep running throughout the race, using the reusable cup becomes slightly problematic. So kudos to Fusion for going reusable cups. However, I was only really able to take in minimal amounts of water. I did make other use of 2 of the 3 aid stations though. They had party mix lollies, which were a godsend. So I really used those to really try and keep my glucose levels high. I was aware that in the past, at about an hour and a half, I've noticed that I've run out of carbohydrates, and I'm still running, I'm not bonking, my legs aren't turning to jelly or anything, but I do notice that the amount of power I can generate, so the pace that I'm going at, really does slow down. And that actually happened in this race. I got to, so there are aid stations every 5Ks approximately. So at the 15K aid station, I grabbed a handful of lollies, but it wasn't really enough. I didn't really have enough carbohydrates on board, or I wasn't ingesting enough carbohydrates, and I did notice that I ran out of steam, particularly around the 18K mark. So mentally you get to 18 Ks and you're like, yes, 3 Ks to go. I'm counting down the meters until I really want to finish strong. It's where other people are starting to pick up the pace a bit as well. So you notice people try and pass you, or people ahead of you are pulling away. So you're really, really noticing a change in how other people are acting. And so that really affects you. And I noticed that I was just running out of steam. And I believe, obviously, I haven't tested this, don't know for sure, I'm guessing that I just ran out of carbohydrates and I was moving on to mostly really using fat as my fuel source, which meant that I could keep up a certain pace, but not the pace that I was keeping through the first 15 Ks. So that's a learning experience. The next half marathon race that I do, I will definitely be taking a hydration backpack with more calories on board. I'll definitely be looking at having more calories immediately before the race. I was really relying on last night's dinner for my in-race calories, which who knows how much that helped or hindered. But I am also someone who I intermittent fast, so I do tend to not ingest calories until somewhere around 10-11 o'clock in the day. So putting too many calories into my body early on in the day could be problematic and could upset my gastrointestinal tract and just give me stomach cramps, things like that. So it's sort of finding that balance. That was something I was concerned about. But I know for next time that I need to take in more, particularly glucose. And obviously for the ultra, that's something that I'll have to be very aware of, is ingesting those calories earlier. Sock strategy. So as I mentioned, I have 2 pairs of socks plus a sort of calf ankle sleeve. And I found that I did start to get some cramping, well, not some cramping, but I noticed that there was a lot of pressure across the middle of my foot. So across here, that was really noticeable, and I believe that's because the socks that I was wearing both have elasticated arch support types things, and then just beyond that is where the calf sleeve, ankle sleeve thing ends. So whilst my calves, my Achilles, my heel, and the area under my foot, my plantar fascia, was all on point. So those are issues that I've had in the past. I had no issues today. But in my foot, I do need to work on the socks that I use and how I layer them so that I'm not getting discomfort in my foot. Because if I'm getting discomfort at 21 Ks, 57 Ks is only going to be magnified 100-fold. So that's something that I will still need to work on. Poop strategy. Poop strategy is fun. So the big thing was I do find that I do get sensitive to gluten. That can upset me if I have too much. I'm not celiac or anything, but it does accumulate, and I do notice certain problems if I do ingest too much gluten. And that ranges from gastrointestinal issues and discomfort through to swelling and discomfort in my hands. I have Raynaud's, which obviously doesn't help, but the gluten really does affect that. And generally, I've heard other issues in terms of gut leakage and things causing cramping. So I try and stay away from gluten if I know that I'm going to need control of my bowels. So yesterday I had a gluten-free day, and that went well. I had steak and roast veggies for dinner last night, which is Again, it's all testing, but that is a winner of a dinner pre-race, because I felt great this morning. I felt great last night. I had no issues going to bed. I had no issues waking up. I still feel great, particularly internally. So that was, again, a test, but that one I passed. So the other two didn't necessarily pass, but I passed that test. Then I did, and also just I made sure that I was fully evacuated pre-race, and that went well. You know, sometimes you've got to make sure, and then make sure again that you are fully evacuated, which is funny to talk about, but you never want to be in the position where 10Ks into a 20K race, you suddenly need to stop and waste a couple of minutes using the toilet, because that is not a fun time. So, speaking of time, how did I do? Well, I'll just have a look over at my computer because my results are online, and I'll put the website somewhere down here so you can double check that I'm not lying to you. But my time was 1:42:47. So I feel pretty good about that. My only goal coming into this was under 2 hours, so that's well under 2 hours, so that's fine. That's good enough for 24th position. Considering this was run on trails, this wasn't like perfect conditions. We were running on sand, we were running on this undulating environment, running through forest and stuff. I'll give you an idea of the first place finisher and how they did, so you can compare my time. So 1:42:47 was me, 24th. First place got 1 hour, 21 minutes and 21 seconds. So I'm about just over 20 minutes behind first place. So that's not too bad, especially considering I had a noticeable drop off in pace, so I could have perhaps made up quite a bit of that time towards the end of the race. And I know what pace I really want to be hitting. That was a good thing. I was very confident in the pace I was running for that first 15 kilometers, that I could run that for a decent chunk of time. So going forward, I've got a few things to work on, which is great. It's great to be in these environments where you do test yourself prior to getting really tested. I'd hate to go into the Ultra 24 or the Valley Ultra untested on these things. But, well, no buts. It was a good day. Great race conditions. Beautiful part of the country. If you're in Ōtautahi, if you're in New Zealand, if you've never been to Bottle Lake Forest, it's a beautiful part of the country. They got like mountain bike tracks. You can hear the ocean for parts of the forest. It's great running tracks, obviously. You're running on sand, you're running in pine needles, you're running in mud, you're running in grass. It's just a lot of fun. There's also a lot to work on in terms of running with a backpack for me. I think that's the biggest thing that's come out of this is once my hydration backpack arrives, it's working on what I need to stack into it, what I need to keep in it for training runs, what I need to keep in it for race days that are shorter, what I need to keep in it for race days that are longer, and that sort of thing. So really getting used to running with it in a race type situation. So I realize I've rambled on for just over 14 and a half minutes now. So for those of you that are still watching, thank you very much. I've got another big week of training, and I'm back at it running wise again on Tuesday, but I'll be back with you guys next weekend. So thank you very much for watching. See you later.